Hello, everybody, and welcome to another CurbCutout podcast. This is your host, Rye Can Do It, and John, coming to you
Hi
live
there.
on Twitch. And yeah, we just wanted to come in and talk about our recent experiences with our accessible gaming setups and what we've learned, what's been working for us, what's not been working for us, and just kind of just have a general discussion about it. So,
Yeah.
so John, I know you wanted to start about talking about some of your console, I guess, accessible adventures. With you being, also a console player, I'm mainly a computer guy, so I don't know a whole lot about consoles, but I know that you're a console guy. So let's go ahead and dive into that. Let's go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, I haven't played console much lately. I used to play quite a bit when I had, this goes back to previous episode, the socialization part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And friends that would come over, every so often. And if I was stuck on a game, they would help me get past the level and, you know, unlock stuff.
Okay.
Because with the game controls, in a console, you can't really remap the buttons, so you kind of just get what you get.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very difficult for my hands to hit some of the buttons that were required. So they, s- once people stopped coming over, basically, I mean, they didn't stop, but
But yeah, I mean, it stopped coming over, and you no longer had the assistant to basically, I don't know, maybe be able to get through the other levels that maybe you were stuck at.
yeah, I mean, I guess everybody gets older and can't play games when they're 30 years old, maybe. I don't know.
No, no, no. There is no such thing as an age and nobody plays games anymore. No, no, no. That's not true at all. Definitely not.
Mhm. As far as my friends go, they all got married, and, you know, did that route instead of games.
But with some of the newer, more modern consoles, though, you do have the ability to uh, get, some pretty awesome accessibility to them as compared to some of the older consoles. So, what kind of console are you talking about that you were referring to in this conversation, John?
I had the PS2,
Okay.
and then I upgraded to the PS3 when it came out. But like I said, a lot of games, the mappings are hard coded. You can't,
You couldn't adjust it, so it limited
right,
your playability of the game because you could not remap the any of the buttons to the buttons that would work for you and your hand positioning.
right.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I decided to give PC a try because I had a feeling that that would be easy to map
Mm-hmm.
because there are different softwares you can buy to
Yeah.
map actual key presses to joystick movements or even like we're going to talk about here in a bit, voice activation.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Voice activation for the games. Yep.
And the consoles, you just don't, it's not there.
Yeah. Well, I,
So,
I, I have at least from what I've seen some of the and met some other people do accessible gaming themselves that have consoles is that they have gotten a little bit better, at least on the Microsoft side of things. I don't really know much anything on the PlayStation side of things, but I know that they have made at least with the Microsoft Accessible Controller not only works on Xbox but also on PC both. So I wonder if it works on a PlayStation. Is there anybody out there that knows if the Accessible Controller for Microsoft works on a PlayStation? We'd love to hear about that.
yeah, uh, I would love to know.
Yeah, right. Especially on the older system.
I doubt it, but you never know.
Yeah, you never know. Anything's possible, man.
I
Um,
mean,
Go ahead.
it's kind of funny because, as we'll get into later, I'm using a PS3 controller
Mm-hmm.
for my PC. So I'm still using the same controller
But
because
you're
it's
just on a PC where you can remap it and change it for the
right,
games you're playing on there. That makes sense.
right. So I love the way the controller fits in my hand. I can hold it real good. So that part works for me, but it's just the static maps that I could not
Couldn't get
change.
past. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I think we should go ahead and dive into some of our, I guess, I can go ahead and start. I guess since you started on your console stuff, I'll start talking about the setup that I'm using for my current gaming setup. Let's go ahead and switch over to our share scene here real quick. There we go. So, um, and I will go ahead and put these links in the chat as well. So I am using the Microsoft Adaptive Controller. I'll go ahead and put this particular link in the chat. And with this particular link, I was able to get a discount to not only buy the adaptive controller, but I was also able to buy the Logitech kit that came with all the extra buttons and everything for you to be able to push and click on. So in order to get down to the Logitech part, if you're anybody's interested in buying this, you got to make sure it's go build your bundle. Then from there, you can add the Logitech kit on there as well. So here's what's going to pull up a picture of what I am using. So here is my current desk setup. That see here. So I have I think it's called a micro sticks, micro joystick from Warfighter Engaged. Then my Xbox accessible controller, and then there's a switch off to the left there you can't see. And this is what I've been using to play Battlefield 3. I've been using this to play Rocket League, and it's worked out really well for my limited hand abilities in order to game. It's worked out very well for that. Um, and then on top of that, I am using a piece of software, which we're going to into more detail and actually show you exactly how I have it set up here in a minute, called Voice Attack. So John actually told me about this piece of software called Voice Attack. It's free to try it out to do a single binding. I think up to 8 different voice commands you can bind to it. And if you ever want to purchase it, it's $10. And what it allows you to do is basically be able to use your voice in order to do things like reload, crouch, shoot, and Rocket League for boost, jump, any of those things. And you can set up those not only keyboard type of commands you can use in game, but even mouse clicks and the scroll wheel. So if you're on a web page and you say scroll down, I can have it set up so it actually scrolls the page down for me, so I don't actually have to do it with my mouse anymore. I can just say scroll down and it does it automatically, which is a really awesome piece of software. So we'll go over that in some more details here in a little bit. So that's kind of my current gaming setup. Now I also have some pictures of what John is using. So I think first up is John's joystick. Now John, what kind of joystick is this?
It's just a Thrustmaster basic joystick. I think I paid $30 for it.
Okay. Is it
Just a bit
USB or just is it like a
USB.
USB? Cool. And you're also then using a standard PS3 DualShock controller as well, right?
And that depends on what game I'm playing. If I want more buttons to be accessible, I use a PlayStation controller
Mm-hmm.
because the joystick buttons are kind of spread out, so it's a long ways to reach.
And is this the most comfortable for you in your hands?
Yeah, the PlayStation one works great for me, but I have the actual plate stick joystick is just on my desktop.
Okay.
I just leave it there. I use that for American Truck Simulator.
Okay.
I drive a 18-wheeler just like my wheelchair, basically. I have it set up for forward as gas,
Mm-hmm.
so then you just hold it forward and
Nice.
turn the steering wheel just like you would in a wheelchair. I mean,
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. I'm gonna go ahead and also put in a link for the Warfighters Engage, which I did not mention anything really about them. They are basically um, a organization that provides 3D printed joysticks and buttons for people that are disabled, and they have some super awesome uh, controllers. Let me scroll down and show you what they have. But they literally have a button basically for everything. They have something you can use for your knee. They have buttons if that they call their quad buttons for somebody that's a quadriplegic. I mean, they have literally joysticks and buttons for all kinds of different disabilities, and they're uh, reasonably really inexpensive in the mind of accessible joysticks of any sort. So if anybody's looking for a custom 3D printed inexpensive way to get an add-on for your Microsoft Accessible Controller, this is a great resource. So they're a great nonprofit organization that I found.
I know Linus Tech Tips has a pretty good review of the Microsoft controller. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of funny review because, of course, he's able-bodied, so you know he approaches it from a different view,
A different
but
perspective for sure. Yeah,
it still allows you to see what the controller's all about and how it works. So,
exactly. So next up, we're gonna go ahead and talk about voice attack. Um, So I'm going to go ahead and put the link in for Voice Attack. So Voice Attack is that software we're talking about that allows you to use your voice in order to go and control basically voice commands in your game. So I'm going to kind of walk through it a little bit with my current setup, and John will kind of talk about how he has his laid out. Let's go ahead and turn it on here real quick. As you can see, I have it running right now, and every single time I say anything, it's going through and recognizing it, including when I said the word right there, which I don't want to say it again because I don't want it to start pushing keys. But yeah, so let me go into the settings on here and show you.
and that's the thing with voice attacks. It's your entire PC. It's not limited to games or it's the entire computer. So if you have struggle opening apps or anything like that, voice attacks really easy to modify to do that for you. So
Yeah, so let me resize this a little bit on screen. There we go. Okay, so this is my Battlefield 3 settings that I had pre-set up with voice. So I have um, crouch, escape to menu, fire, grenade, interact, jump, knife, prone, all the basically things that you would do under keyboard. I basically have it in voice command, so I can just go ahead and do it with voice. And you can see here, I have like crouch, I have it for uh, 0.5 seconds, but then escape to menu, I have it for 0.1. So I basically kind of went through and figured out basically how quickly could a key be pressed and still be recognized. And same thing, like if I have been messing around with trying to set up to do the fire command in order to shoot the gun. So I've been messing around with different click settings for the mouse to see exactly how quickly I could get it to, fire via voice, which there is a little bit of delay. So you definitely have to be thinking a little bit ahead. But it's very minimal delay. Go ahead, John.
well, I think some of the games are set for key release versus key press.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be part of the delay. Is is it gonna fire when you press it down or when it comes back up?
That's true. That's true,
So
and it's just one of those things you have to play around with the keys back and forth until you kind of figure out what combination works best for you.
that's the single hardest part of, if you can call it hard,
Mm-hmm.
of voice attack. It's not hard. It just takes time to
Yes,
figure out what you need to do to get it to do exactly what you want.
and another thing, if you want to add, like, say, a new command here, which I gotta switch screens again. Hold on. Not a problem. There we
Yeah, it's
go.
our
Okay,
first time doing screen share.
that's true. First time screen sharing here. So it also has the option to be able to do, all kinds of things. You could do when I say this, when I press these keys, when I press this button, when I do this with my mouse. You can pre-configure all that. You can do key presses, mouse presses. There's literally there's commands for pretty much anything. You can even have it do text to speech. So you could have it say something really funny when you click a certain button or you do anything like that. And you can also do multiple um, keys as well. So if you did like key press, I don't know if this will show up or not. It probably won't show up, but there's a way you can actually do press and release keys, press keys, release keys, and toggle keys. And there's also a variable key press, which allows you to put in crazy like key combinations. Like if you're playing any like WoW or anything like that, where you have multiple keys to do things at the same time. It gives you the option to be able to do that, which is really awesome.
I'm working on a secondary project with the same program. I'm attempting to make a macro pad for my CNC machine.
Oh, okay.
They don't have one currently. So I bought a Stream Deck and I'm using a Stream Deck and voice attacks, which is
Interesting.
kind of overlapping, but I'm slowly figuring it out. So when I press a button on the Stream Deck,
Yeah,
it presses a button on the keyboard, which voice attacks then switches to the application.
that's
So it's
awesome.
it's a multi-layer thing, but I'm almost to the point where I got it working. So
And that's actually something I would love to set up here for OBS. Just be able to have like a simple, easy, like you could say like next scene or something like
yeah,
that, in order just to switch to the scene up and down in OBS would really be. And I know with OBS you can program the key bindings to basically anything, which is
yeah.
super helpful. So it wouldn't be that hard to do voice attack to do that. I just haven't had a chance to mess with that setting yet, but it's something I definitely want to try to do. That's for sure.
So in my trucking game that I use the joystick for,
Mm-hmm.
I'm using voice attacks for turn signals, headlights, just the realism part of the game that, was secondary when I couldn't push the buttons.
Yeah, I mean, all you had was steering, gas, and brake pretty much before you could
But,
have windshield wipers and headlights.
but it makes it look, it feels like you're actually doing something when you get to do all the different things. So
And that makes a difference right there when you can increase the realism while you're streaming. That's definitely
yes,
important for
and
sure.
it's kind of like I set mine up for when I say a certain word,
Mm-hmm.
the camera goes outside the vehicle because I couldn't press the button
Mm-hmm.
to get the camera to switch without letting go of the joystick and then in turn crashing into the wall
You're
or
being like a little off-roading, no big deal.
so, so I just set up a 5-second delay
Mm-hmm.
and when I say camera, the camera goes outside the truck for 5 seconds so I can do it on a straightaway
Yep.
and not cause a problem. So
Makes total sense to me, man.
yeah, there's some neat things you can do. And like I said, it's not hard, but it's time consuming because you
It
gotta,
is, and,
yeah,
and that's the hardest part is honestly setting up all of these. I have to look up the game, like what are the stock, keys for the game, and then go through it and set up each, command in here. It definitely is a little bit time consuming, but it's worth it in the end, um, just because it just makes it a lot more enjoyable.
and as far as the PS3 controller goes, there is a free driver that you can download. So you just basically plug in your PS3 controller, and all I did was Google, PS3 controller on PC, and there was tutorials on YouTube
Mm-hmm.
how to. You literally just follow it. And you can either do it wired or wireless if you have Bluetooth on your PC. But I didn't go that route because I was already plugged in, so I just left as it was. So there is lots of options when it comes to gaming. And I already have the controller laying around
Yeah.
from that
So that was
console.
just an easy setup for you to just go over to from that point in time.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. Do you see yourself changing to like a different type of joystick or some sort of other, uh, I guess, system like in the future? Is there anything else you're looking into right now to try?
To be 110% honest, I the only game I played the last 3.5 years was the trucking simulator
Okay.
up up until about 2 weeks ago when I
Mm-hmm.
found Rocket League. So, I've been satisfied with my joystick, and right now the PS3 controller is working, so I don't see any reason to spend a whole lot of money or time
Yeah,
on
especially
any.
if it's something that's already working for you. Yeah. Okay. Well, I know for me, I'm definitely still learning what's working the best as far as my setup goes. Having the Microsoft Accessible Controller on the desk, on my lap, putting the joystick in different spots. So still trying to figure that out. So especially for Battlefield 3, it's such a fast paced game that it's yeah
I will say, when I was watching you the other night,
yeah.
I would say it was quite impressive because I don't even think with my hand movement I could do half of what you were doing.
Well, thanks. That makes me feel a little bit better about it because that was not a pretty live stream.
Even though it wasn't much more than running, but you didn't get shot right away. I
That's
mean,
true. It's not like I was just rolling over dying, but I wasn't really getting any kills either. But it's a work in progress.
but like I said that night, we should try to do like a multiplayer thing where I can drive and you can, with multiplayer now we could,
That's
you
true.
know,
That's true. You drive and I'll shoot. Right? We'll just make that happen.
yeah,
You start driving
teamwork.
the tank and all right. Sounds good. Let's get you that game. I'll send you
Yeah,
over. I think I have an extra copy of it in Steam, so I'll send it over to you and you can give it a play. See if
yeah.
it runs. It should run on your system. It's an older game, so
I mean, I think a lot of my gaming, what would you call it? Not
experience.
Uh, it was hindered up until this year because I didn't have decent internet until
That's true. Your internet before a few months ago was pretty bad.
so then it was just, console and the computer. Let's be honest, the computer beat me every single time. But at least if you go online, you have, you know, a chance to maybe get someone worse than you and
True.
chance to win.
So
I mean,
true. That is absolutely correct. Um, yeah, it's so true. So one of the things that we also wanted to bring up during this live stream is that we officially have a Discord server set up. So go ahead. If anybody's interested in joining in our Discord server, we would, uh, um, yeah, we'd love to have you and continue any discussion about gaming, anything else about disabilities, accessibility. We would be glad to have that conversation in our um, Discord server.
and honestly, I will say, if you're if you were able to find the stream, not, nothing we were talking about is too hard for you. It's all just point and click basically, and press
Mhm.
button on your keyboard. It's not technical to set up. It's not no command line, no, you know,
Oh come on,
crazy.
that's the best part though, John. You gotta have the command line stuff.
Well, there is that.
Yeah.
But
Well,
since
I agree with you. Though, at least it's not a Discord is not very technical to use. It's kind of just like a just an awesome, chatting application. It allows you to join other like-minded communities and be able to share ideas, thoughts, themes. I mean, you name it.
don't get me wrong, the setup of Discord's a little challenging, but to join someone else's server is, and I was also referring to like voice attacks and
Mm-hmm.
none of this is really there's no real barrier to learning any of this. It's just point and click and you can be gaming in a matter of minutes.
Well, especially with voice attack. I mean, that's just a game changer for any of our games. For any of the times that we can't reach over to the keyboard and hit those keys that are not necessarily necessary for the game, but just increase the reality of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to win when you can boost and you can do all the things all the other people are doing.
But when we were playing Rocket League, I'm gonna have to say that my boost was a little bit delayed sometimes, and I was also trying to figure out what's the best amount of boost. Do I do it for 3 seconds, 2 seconds?
That
I feel like three is a little bit too much. It's a little hard to control. So I think I'm
yes,
gonna put it down to like two or even like one, just so it doesn't get so crazy with boost.
I know we talked about it, but I don't know if you're planning on streaming Rocket League at some point.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely want to stream Rocket League. Yeah, I mean, not that we're any like really good at it or anything, but that's not the point. The point is we're online, we're streaming, and we're having fun, and that's really what matters in the end.
Or having social interaction while sitting at home.
Exactly.
Or
You said it. You said it best. Exactly. So that's the most important part.
yeah,
So I know that we kind of went over some gaming stuff, and I think something that we'd love to do is eventually create a what's the word I'm looking here for, John? A Rocket League team. There we go. I think John and I are going to start a Rocket League team and go
yeah.
and try to do a weekly stream of that. So keep an eye on both of our streams for that. See if we get that going.
Leave your name suggestions in the comments. We're looking for a name
That's
for
true.
the
We do need a very good creative name for our basically our group there. Maybe just call it the Curb or just Curb. Or maybe
Kirby's.
Kirby's or Cutouts maybe. I don't know. I
Yeah.
gotta go back into the Rocket League and see how many characters were allowed.
It's kind of funny when you're playing with people. I mean, because realistically, they're all trying so hard to score.
Mm-hmm.
That us people that don't have all the fancy buttons and quick moving hands, we can capitalize on because they're boosting all the time.
Yep.
So it makes it easier for us because they miss the ball. So there's pluses and minuses to being able to do everything.
Yeah. But the more and more we play, the better we're getting at Rocket League. So it's been a really long time since I played. Actually, I used to play using a PlayStation 2 controller, but I had to stop doing it because for me, with my muscular dystrophy, having my hands wrapped around a controller, well, especially way back then, is that they would start cramping after about 15 minutes. I couldn't hold on to the controller for anything longer than that. And now, I mean, I couldn't even hold it if I tried.
I'm not gonna lie, I was a teeny bit nervous the first time we
Mm-hmm.
played there just because I didn't know, what your abilities were or if you could stand to play the whole game.
True. And we made do with this new accessible controller. Has been great for Microsoft. It's been a game changer for I actually get back into gaming again. It's
A
amazing.
game changer. Did you listen to what you did there?
What I do?
A game changer. It changes the game.
It does. I don't know if it makes it really that much of a game changer, like you're trying to say, but it's up there, John. It's up there. It's right on. Yeah, it's a very high game changer for sure.
Oh, by the way,
Yeah,
was there was there a rainstorm at your house about an hour ago?
it's got a little random stream question.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't think so, but I as you can see behind me, we have green screen. That's basically my window. So I have not seen outside, so I can't answer that question. According to my phone, no, but that could be subject to change.
Also, happy birthday of spring.
Happy birthday for what? It's not my birthday.
Oh, it's the first day of spring
Is it really? Is
today. Yeah.
that today?
Yep.
Wow, awesome.
We're already to spring.
Well, before we finish up, I think we should go ahead and drop our mandatory podcast ad that we love sharing with everybody to let everyone know that what we're all about. Not are we all about technology and disability, but also one of the main things we stand for is we want to bring awareness about improper curb cutouts, whether that be if you're living somewhere in let's say New York City or other big cities that are on the East Coast that are getting covered in snow and your curb cuts are covered in snow. You have no way of getting around. You have no accessibility. Those are the kind of things that we want to have pictures of on our Instagram, even on Twitter. So make sure you please tag us at hashtag curb cutouts for any of those kinds of posts. And we also just want to bring, like I said, awareness about the lack of curb cutouts that aren't accessible. Maybe they're too steep, or they have big things of puddles of mud down at the bottom of them. Or one caller called us one time and told us that it literally was a curb cutout in an intersection, but there was no sidewalks. There's this random four curb cutouts and no sidewalks. So Any of those kinds of things we really want to hear about. So let's go ahead and roll an ad real quick, and we'll be right back.
About access or lack of proper accessible curb cutouts? Call or text our complaint line today at 505 695 CURB. Operators are not standing by, but we will air the complaints weekly after each podcast. Thanks for helping us raise awareness to lack of or access to proper curb cutouts.
And also, make sure you give us a call at 505-695-CURB. You can leave a complaint on our complaint line and tell us how you feel about curb cutouts or any other maybe disability issue you have on your mind. But we definitely prefer the curb cutouts on the hotline, so please reserve it for that. And definitely hit us up, on our social medias. You can follow us pretty much at Curb Cutouts on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook is where you can find us on that.
Yep.
Well, John, is there anything else you want to add here as we're wrapping up this short little gaming episode?
Hope to see you all next week sometime on Rocket League.
Yes, for sure. Yes, and we will put our so people can find us on in order to play. We will put our information on. We'll probably put on Twitter, so you guys can find us and be able to play with us. So for sure. Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. I know it was kind of a last minute announced stream for us today, but John and I was like, oh, we gotta. It's been a little bit of some time since we've done one. We were on to get back on here and do this again. We are trying to line up a special guest for guest interview for next week. So please keep an eye on our social media accounts. We'll be announcing that as soon as we get that person locked in. I can't mention who it is or what it's about, but it's something that you guys are all going to enjoy. And it's going to be awesome. So super excited about it. So, all right. Well, thank you again for joining us for this short little episode, and we look forward to seeing you guys again soon. All right. Have a good evening, everybody. Take care.